Hello. I'm assuming that you need some tutoring on Atlantean history. Well, what better person to come to than your history professor? Now, as you know, my name is Mr. Thatch, or Milo, but you know, going back to my world, we called our professors, which were called professors, Mr. or Mrs. and then their last name. Now, in this culture, you know, that doesn't happen, but I still prefer to be, what's the last name? Well, it's your name and then another name, and since that's the name that's your last name. But yeah, I sometimes miss my world, but I love this world a lot more than that one. It's just nostalgia. Anyways, to start off your history lesson, what we're going to be going back to is Plato, the father of history from the outside world's perspective. Now, I know that you might not know too much about Plato. I know we haven't really covered it in class too much, but it's someone that you have to know for the test, simply because Plato is probably the biggest person who's documented Atlantean history out of anyone, really, including Atlanteans themselves. What Plato said, and please do take down notes. Well, basically Plato said, and I'll talk slowly as well so that way you can, you know, catch up. Basically, Plato, and what he said, was that Atlantis was a city that, even before 10,000 years before the Egyptian pyramids, which we covered today in class. Do you want me to cover the Egyptian pyramids with you? No? Okay. Well, be 10,000 years before the Egyptians built their pyramids, which was a long time ago, plus an even longer time ago. Is that even proper grammar? I don't know. I'm a history teacher, not an English teacher. Anyways, so 10,000 years before the Egyptians even built their pyramids, the Atlanteans were already, you know, they were pioneers. They were just well established users of electricity. They had advanced medicine, which was very uncommon for the rest of the world, and they even had the power of flight. And I mean, now we have flight in my world, but it's, you know, airplanes and whatnot, and those are rudimentary compared to the technology we have for flight. What else is there to cover? Now, that's the basics. That's what Plato said. He said that that's where the extent of his historical knowledge over Atlantis stems from. We're just currently doing more research on our end of the history department to see what else we can do to try and, you know, find more history, whether that be archaeological evidence or, what else? Perhaps even just tracing it back from old. Well, I mean, that would kind of delve into archaeology as well. Anyways, probably a lot of archaeological findings is probably what we're going to be relying on heavily for this project. Anyways, so Atlantis was Plato's concept. He said that the reason Atlantis ended up kind of, you know, falling off the face of the earth, according to everyone else, is that it was struck by earthquakes and, you know, tsunamis and floods and hurricanes, and basically we just became muddy water and then we ended up drowning. However, it would have made sense, because according to Plato, he says that we drowned due to the fact, we drowned and died due to the fact that we were being punished by Poseidon for being failures. And what I mean by failures is that we were losing a lot of wars at the time. We had conquered Africa up until the extent of Egypt, and we had conquered we had conquered Europe up until the extent of Italy. Do you want me to recap what Africa and Europe is to you? Well, they're continents. They're called continents. They're just very large bodies of land on Earth. Africa is located between North and South America, which is on the west, and then Europe is in the east, although it's still considered the west for some reason, and it's on that side of the map, Europe. So Europe is on the east, North and South America on the west, and then Africa's in the middle, basically almost an island in and of itself. But yeah, so we had conquered Africa all the way up to Egypt, and then Europe all the way to Italy. And are you still taking notes? Let me see your notes for a little. Plato, and then okay. Don't forget to add pyramids 10,000 years before that. I'll be asking you, because that was an example I used in class, so don't forget to put that down in your notes. Italy. Okay, so you're on track. Awesome. Now, where was I? Up until Italy, we had conquered both reaches of the continent. However, we were conquered by the Athenians, which are Grecian people from Greece, and they ended up driving us back to where we belonged. And geographically, back in the day, we used to belong in, let me simply find out exactly so that way I can reference back my notes. I don't want to look up the coordinates or anything like that, but I want to look up what I said in class. We were located, well, according to the world, we were located in this little sliver of water. We were kind of like an island, basically. It was called the River of Water, according to the people from the world. It was called the Strait to Gibraltar. I'm sorry, I sometimes don't focus on that. It's something that's it's more geographical. It's something for a geography teacher rather than a history teacher. But yeah, it's called the Strait of Gibraltar. And that's basically where we were located. We were larger than Asia Minor and Libya put together, and then we sank, and that took away some of our land, obviously. The reason we've been able to accomplish so much, though, is from the heart of the city, which is located within these crystals. Now, my crystal broke, so now I just have a rock. So it's my punishment by my wife, who said that I was an idiot for breaking it or losing it. Either or, I mean, it's come see, come saw, I don't have it anymore. But these are the crystals that fuel, or rather not fuel. I used to believe that it was an energy source, but it's not an energy source. And it's also not a way to get monetary gain, because, you know, you shouldn't have financial gain off of the genocide of another, you know, type of people, which is something that, you know, the crew of people that I came here with wanted to do. But thankfully, they didn't succeed. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here right now. But these crystals, these Atlantean crystals, are the heart of the city. They're the ones that have, they're the ones that basically power everything we do, including our life sources, or rather, your life sources. And they basically just give us what we are as Atlanteans. They've been able to, you know, propel us to the future. What these are made out of is that, and please do note this down, is that this has an external layer, an exoskeleton, if you will. Actually, that's too advanced of a word for you. We'll learn that in a different class, an English class. You'll learn that. I'm probably going to teach that one too. I don't want to teach English. So, what this is made out of is that its exterior is actually Kryptonian. Now, within it, it has iridium. Now, that is a very powerful element within the world. It's something that's quite volatile, even. But we harnessed it and we made it into our own. It made it very powerful, not to mention the fact that it has iridium and corinium. Corinium. I can't say it. I cannot say it. So it's iridium and corinium mixed together within the krypton. And that in itself makes it very harnessed and very potent and very, it makes it very powerful, and we make sure to use that power. So in your chemistry class and in your English class, you're going to be able to learn more about these, but that's simply an overview as to what these are made out of and why it's so helpful to us concerning history and our future. Now, last lesson of the day, it's going to be the Shepherd's Journal. Now, the Shepherd's Journal is something that I used to get here. It has basic instructions as to how to reach Atlantis. It's kind of hard to get to it now, which is a very good thing considering how we don't want other people in this area, concerning how the crystals to them seem to be very, it gives them a lot of monetary gain, and we don't really want anyone disturbing our peace or our livelihood. So it's very nice that we're very disconnected from the rest of the world. Our advancements would be insane to them. It would be disastrous if we were found out. But what was I on about? Okay, the Shepherd's Journal. I have the Shepherd's Journal. It's underneath lock and key in a place that no one will ever find it. But it was written by some priest back in the back in the ancient times, basically. And he gave specific instructions in Norse. Now, most people don't know Norse anymore simply because it's almost a dead language, if not a dead language. But I did, and I do, and I was able to translate it and get to here. Now, with the Shepherd's Journal, what you're going to want to know is that it was basically written by an ancient priest. Remember that. It's going to be a question on the test. So when the question asks, who was the Shepherd's Journal based off of? You're going to say some ancient priest. It's going to be an answer. It's just going to be an ancient priest. And then when they ask you where do you find the Shepherd's Journal, you're going to say Iceland. Ireland is going to be an answer along with Iceland. It's going to be one of those trick questions. Just remember to put down Iceland. It's not an R, it's a C. I used to have that problem too. I thought that the Shepherd's Journal was actually found in Ireland. I wasted a lot of money, you know, going over there trying to find it, but it actually was in Iceland, and my grandfather ended up beating me to it, so oh well. But yeah, so those are 2 questions on the test. Who made the Shepherd's Journal? An ancient priest. And where did you find, or rather, where was the Shepherd's Journal found? In Iceland, not Ireland. But yeah, let me look over your notes again. Okay, and then all right. Okay. Cross this out. Yeah, you're not gonna be. That's a little. It's overkill worth of information. Okay. All right. You have everything down. You're very fast at writing. I'm very fast at talking, and you're very fast at writing. You're going to be a perfect student for me. So, is there any other questions you might have before, you know, you're dismissed? No? Okay, excellent. Then have a good day. Bye-bye now.